Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is Yeti here. Today, we will be ranking the World of Warcraft expansions from the best to the worst, or from the worst to the best, depending on what you prefer. Dragonflight is over. We are waiting for the War Within, which is dropping this Thursday. It's actually Friday midnight for me because I am from Central European time. I've been thinking about the expansions and how much fun I've been having in Dragonflight. I have my notepad open here and I want to go over everything I liked and disliked about these expansions, and I'll try to rank them in a fair way. Of course, we're going to try to rank the expansion based on the time that they came out. I'll try to give as much as I remember from these expansions, obviously the main things. There's like 20 years of history in here, so obviously I'll not get everything right. Hope you can appreciate and respect my opinion. And of course, I would like to hear your opinions in the comments.
Actually, let me fix this. This is not right. This is not in the right order.
All right, so starting with number one, we got World of Warcraft Vanilla, or just World of Warcraft, right? This one came out in the year 2004. I was not even 10 years old when this came out, so I could not experience Vanilla firsthand. I was obviously too young to play this game back then, but I did play World of Warcraft Classic as well. And I mean, this is everything that we know, all World of Warcraft based, ideas and mechanics and everything. I mean, it started right here. I think that we gotta respect this game, because this was before they even had any ideas of releasing expansions. They took Warcraft 3 and obviously the lore they had from before, and they made it into a video game that, will allow players to be in an MMO environment, see each other, play with each other. And I think that because of this itself, Vanilla deserves the S rating. I think everything that was built after this came purely because World of Warcraft Classic, or just World of Warcraft, was so successful. It was such a good game. It was so well polished. I think the sense of exploration that we had back then was insane. I mean, if you played even Classic back in 2019, you could probably really feel this. The world felt so big. Everything was new. Monsters feel scary. The world feels big because you're a lot slower and smaller. And I think it also created the server community, and you had some sort of identity as a player. You knew who was a PvP or PvE just by looking at their gear. I think there was so much done right. And obviously for the year 2004, this game was nearly perfect. I think it was phenomenal. Obviously, it had some cons as well. I think that the grind took a little bit too long. And that resulted in back then people were, also progressing a lot slower. Almost nobody raided in World of Warcraft Vanilla. I mean, I remember watching this guy called Kungan, and he's still a streamer nowadays. He was always saying how rating was for top 0. I don't know how much percent. Now, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do fully believe that not many people raided in Vanilla because the journey took way too long. Now, we got the expansion that I personally started playing World of Warcraft in. That was World of Warcraft The Burning Crusade, which came out in 2007. Believe it or not, I was 10 years old when I started playing this game. It was absolutely crazy. It was a journey. I was blasting Linkin Park playing this game with my older brother. I had no idea what was going on. And I think that, it had the exact same charm as, World of Warcraft, the original World of Warcraft. I think that Outland was also really cool. It was a well-designed world. It looked visually beautiful. I also think that raids in general did look a lot better. They were a lot more approachable. And also arena and PvP. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Wreckful, that was the guy that was blasting in TBC, started blasting in TBC. And I think that, also to me personally, PvP is really what brought World of Warcraft content creators to the mainstream. Now, of course, sadly, TBC still struggled from some of the same issues that Vanilla did. It was hard to reach some of these raids in the end. I remember that my older brother, still did not raid back in TBC. It was not really possible for him to reach that kind of level. But I think nonetheless, it had a lot of improvements done in terms of quality of life. Sadly, I think flying did kill the world PvP for a lot of people. You can just mount up, go away. But luckily, it did bring, PvP Arena, as I previously said. So I think it was a very good expansion. I can't give it S. I think that, it did not bring enough to be an S-rated expansion. But I do think it was a very, very good one. One of the best. Wrath of the Lich King. This came out 1 year later, pretty much. Wait, what the fuck?
Are you telling me that these two came out 1 year apart from each other? Holy shit.
Anyways, World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King came out in 2008. This was a banger. I think story-wise, this one was one of the most packed ones. It had so much hype. You know, the player numbers were going up more and more. You know, I think the world has matured a little bit. The internet, you know, got faster and better. You know, people started making more YouTube videos, more guides, things like that. I think, you know, this expansion really did age properly with World of Warcraft. I think a lot of things were done right. Ulduar and Icecrown Citadel are still one of the most memorable raids ever. I remember my brother was raiding those two. I was, you know, sitting behind him, or standing sometimes, you know, because that's how it was back in the days. We had one family computer that could run World of Warcraft, and I was just watching him raid, and it was insane. I also remember the computer was blue screening whenever it would overheat, which was, you know, during intense battles. But either way, Ulduar was chef's kiss. It was insane. So, of course, I think, again, the game was really, really good. Sadly, it had some, you know, downsides, though. I think dungeons became a lot more linear during this time. And, of course, a lot of people are going to complain about the dungeon finder, you know, which came out towards the end of Wrath of the Lich King. I personally don't have a big problem with that. I think that's kind of how, you know, the gamers aged. And that's kind of how, like, we progressed as the community. We wanted to have more automation, more quality of life. So they added that to the game. But overall, I think, again, the expansion was very, very good. I would personally rate it A as well. I don't know if it's better or worse than TBC. I think they were both incredible. And I think they both deserve a lot of love. And, you know, they deserve to be complimented. These two expansions, I obviously did not, you know, interact with the end game much. I did play the classic versions of these two, and I had a lot of fun. However, I was not able to play the end game back when this came out, when this was live content. So now we got Cataclysm. 2010 is when Cataclysm came out. So, you know, this Cataclysm expansion revamped the entire world in a way. You know, tried to make the new questing zones more friendly. You know, it wanted the new players to go, you know, through the whole experience. Again, it added, you know, new races, rated battlegrounds, new zones. That was just so much new content here. It was really good. But I think that, you know, a lot of people did not like the idea that the old world was deleted, which it was. And a lot of people marked that Cataclysm was like the start of the modern WoW, and they used it in a very negative sense. I think the raids were also okay, but they weren't like incredible. I did raid in Cataclysm, but for a very short amount. I was still a very young child, so I was not really able to do any insane end game. But overall, my experience with Cataclysm was fine. I did enjoy the heroic dungeons, so that was really cool. But I think overall, this expansion had a lot less hype to it, and I think there was a lot of negativity surrounding this expansion. I will give it a B rank. Oh man, we got Mists of Pandaria 2012. I mean, I honestly, this is going to be the first hot take of the video. I absolutely love Pandaria. I think that it was insane. I think the zones we have in MoP are still insane. The story and storytelling in MoP was probably peak World of Warcraft. And Monk class was also really sick. I also think that the PvP balance was incredible. You know, I said earlier I'm a little bit biased around PvP. A lot of content creators have been watching a lot of Twitch streams. You know, also 2012 was, I think, when Twitch started like blowing up. So, I mean, I loved this one, really. I don't have much bad to say about it. Obviously, we had the dailies. That was really annoying. But overall, man, it was fun. I remember playing a warrior in PvP. I was disgustingly broken. I also raided a little bit, but I remember not being able to get the curve achievement fast enough. Garrosh just didn't want to die to the groups that I was playing with. I was in a very low-level guild, very low-level, you know, overall enjoyer of the game. I was able to do normal, but heroic was too hard for me. But yeah, this was really fun. I think MoB deserves to be in A rating of World of Warcraft expansions. I mean, it was just so fucking good, and I really think it deserves a lot more respect than it gets. Yeah, we got to talk about this one as well. Warlords of Draenor. 2014 was when this came out. I mean, WoD was basically just the idea behind WoD was already complex with the alternate dimension. I think we kind of did, I think Blizzard did kind of what Marvel's trying to do now, replay this story, try to get another, successful TBC expansion. And if I'm honest, the leveling experience was insane. Warlords of Draenor had one of the best leveling experiences. The zones were also pretty decent looking. They weren't like god tier, but they were okay. And I think garrisons were also a really cool idea. However, they were not, executed that well. They kind of became a prison at the end. However, the biggest con WoD ever had was, in my opinion, content droughts. I think that if WoD would not have a content drought, it literally could be an A or even an S-rated expansion. I think the content they gave us was so good. I remember farming gold in that expansion because that was like the only thing I found was fun to do because there was just nothing else to do. Leveling alts, going through the story multiple times because, as I said, the story was insane. The leveling progression was really good as well. Like, I think I'll have to give it B, but that is just because there was just nothing going on for what was it, like 14, 17 months or something. It was some ridiculous number where absolutely nothing came out. It was an expansion abandoned by the developers, and I don't really know why, because I think it had so much potential. It had so much going on for it, and they just kind of dropped it. World of Warcraft Legion, that came out in August of 2016, another August expansion, just like the War Within. Man, this was good. I mean, I think a lot of people think back to Legion and they think the best expansion that was ever made. I think the storyline, again, was really good. Burning Legion and Titans, all that stuff, the depths of World of Warcraft theme. And the best feature that was added in Legion, I think everybody agrees with that, was Mythic Plus Dungeons. No, not World Quests, but Mythic Plus Dungeons. I mean, we love them. We still do them all the time now. They are such a clean mechanic, or not mechanic, such a content that was added to the game, because raiding is, started becoming more and more hardcore, a lot harder. You really need an organized group, while M Plus became, replayable, infinitely replayable PvE content. And I think it was such a sick idea that they developed back then. However, this expansion wasn't perfect either. Artifact power grind was really annoying. I mean, a lot of people were complaining about that all the time, saying how it was a full-time job. And also, I think Legion had that weird expansion feel where it started off really slow and it got better and better with time. There was like a lot of things they had to fix, a lot of quality of life improvements, balancing the game out. And, Blizzard does this all the time, by the way. It's so annoying. Let me show you guys what I mean. So this is going to be the player count, and this is going to be the time, right? So the expansion drops, right? And the player count is at its peak, right? And then with time, the player count drops like that, right? But let's take another color and let's draw content, right? The expansion drops, we have this much content. And then, very often it goes up like this, like not just the content, I mean more like the enjoyment of the game, right? So very often at the end of the expansion, you have all the things they added, all the borrowed power they added. They finally fixed it. They finally, made it make sense. But the amount of players has already dropped. And I think Legion suffered from this. A lot of people, that did play the end of Legion love that. But they must not forget that we lost so many players during that period of time. I think Legion was really, really good. I think Legion deserves the praise simply because they added, the so-called Mythic Plus, and they made the game feel a lot better with the artifact and all the the new mechanics. So I mean, I'll give it A. I can't give it any lower. I can't give it any higher. Oh god, Battle for Azeroth. I mean, yeah, the next two expansions are going to be quite depressing. I got a lot of bad things to say about them too. I mean, BFA, again, the visuals were good. The art team in Blizzard never fails. They are absolute professionals. They have, they only create good stuff. All right. Also, allied races were really good. I mean, can't really say anything bad about them. More customization in MMO is always good. Thank you, Blizzard, for that. We like that. But God, the Azeroth armor system was absolutely abysmal. I think it was so bad. And you could really feel in BFA, they were dropping storylines one after another. Really, they were bombarding players with useless quests and useless information that became irrelevant after. And I think that, it was called Battle for Azeroth, but that's not even what the expansion was about. If you played through the entire story, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't give this one more than a B. I mean, I would even consider giving this a C, honestly, just to be a little bit more fair to these two expansions here. I think really, I did not enjoy BFA. I think it was if Legion was not out before BFA would be disgusting. I do think they learned a lot from BFA. I do think that, that's kind of when they, this one and the next one are going to be the biggest learning curves for Blizzard. I think they learned what the players don't like. Again, the end of BFA was really fun. When they fixed the systems, it was really good. But for a lot of people, it was too late, right? And I cannot say that just because the end of the expansion was good, that the entire expansion was good, right? I lost almost every single friend playing the game during BFA, some of which came back, some of which didn't. But I think overall, having an expansion that killed that many friend groups, it just sucks. All right, and now we got the ugliest box cover out of all expansions in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft Shadowlands came out in 2020. I mean, I'll be honest, at this point, I played all of these expansions. I was absolutely addicted, and I also did play the entire Shadowlands. Of course I did. Shadowlands, had some really good ideas, like the Covenant systems. It had so much diversity, and again, in terms of art and, all these spells that, you get out. So I was playing a Holy Paladin, and you get Ashen Hollow, or you get Divine Toll. You can decide which one you want. Well, it's not that easy. You had to do the campaign of each Covenant on your main. You would have to take, I think it was 1 week cooldown between swapping them. So if I wanted to push M+, I had to do it either with Ashen Hollow, or I had to swap to Divine Toll. But then my raid would not have Ashen Hollow, the raid cooldown. If you probably know what I'm talking about if you played back then. But like the whole idea of the expansion was okay, but the execution was just beyond poor. And I think this one really hurt. Like, this one really hurt World of Warcraft. I think the fact that we had two horrible expansions, one after another, because I can't give this one more than a C. I mean, I did play the whole expansion, as I said, but I am beyond fucked, okay? I am addicted to Blizzard, all right? But I think that also, luckily, we had Classic out during this time, so that's what a lot of us just did. I think I was playing, I think TBC Classic might have already been out when Shadowlands released. Either way, I mean, 9.0 was good, right? Castle Natria, the raid was phenomenal. Raid designing team did a good job. The art design team did a good job. But the balancing team and obviously the team behind these systems, these borrowed power systems, did a horrible job. You also had, Thorghast, which was mandatory to craft your legendary. Also, if you crafted a long legendary, it would take so long to craft another one that was like correct one. You had no recrafting it at start. Basically the whole experience was horrible. I really disliked it. Again, they did fix a lot of this in the end of Shadowlands, but I think Shadowlands, like, it was the span at which they dropped players was probably like record highest, because 9.0 was just one of those things where you felt restricted by the game so hard, right? Of course, I think that Blizzard did learn from a lot of this, and their recent actions are showing us that. So I have a lot of hope that Shadowlands and BFA were learning opportunities for World of Warcraft and for Blizzard, because there were some good things about these two expansions. Not just some, a lot of good things. But I think that overall they have kind of refused to meet players halfway, and I think that now in the next expansion after this one, that I'm going to talk about in a second, they have, and I think in the War Within, hopefully they will even more. All right, so now the last one, the freshest of them all, World of Warcraft Dragonflight, released November of 2022. And my God, this is a good one. In my opinion, usually, when it's the most recent expansion, we talk shit about it. This time, I feel no desire to shit talk Dragonflight. I think that Objectively speaking, if you had to measure my dopamine levels and my levels of frustration between the last 2 expansions, it would just be an incomparable difference. Sure, Dragonflight wasn't perfect. Sure, it had some issues, but I mean, dragon riding was insane. The talent rework was beautiful, okay? It was perfect. Of course, it had some issues though. We had only 3 major patches. The story was probably not as good as it could be. And a lot of the systems were in early stages and needed a lot of work, a lot of adaptation, etc. But I think the players got exactly what they wanted. I think we received what we wanted. We got what we were asking for a while. And I think that this expansion really delivered. And not only delivered, it also proved, I think, that a lot of players are willing to play a good World of Warcraft game if devs put their time into it. Now, it's not perfect. There's still so much to do, you know? We gotta fix PvP. The queues are a mess. You know, we gotta fix Mythic Plus. The affixes are not that good. But Dragonflight did so many things right. You know, it just makes you want to take just take the expansion and just fix a few things and make the perfect game. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna give this an A. I think that it deserves to be in line with these expansions. I think that Dragonflight was really insane. I think it revived my love for the game more than any of the recent expansions. Like, every time I would log on, I was excited. Weekly Reset, Vault, everything was really fun. Mythic Plus was okay and bad at times. I mean, you know, obviously there was also like some really nice things in M+. The balance felt a lot better. We saw Feral Druids being played. We saw Red Paladins being played. We saw Monks being played. I think that overall, so many things were right about Dragonflight, and I don't want to belittle that because we climbed from all the way down here to all the way up there in one expansion. And all it took was to really just kind of go back to the roots, just go to what World of Warcraft was all about. I also think that Dragonflight has by far the best legendary system out of any of these expansions, right? Sure, you had legendaries before, you know, you were spam crafting them in BFA and you know, all that weird stuff. But I think Dragonflight has really done such a good job with the legendaries, right? For example, the Evoker legendary dropped for the first time after the world first mythic kill, so it doesn't give anyone like that big advantage. And after that, you have some sort of catch-up mechanic that will at some point guarantee you the item. The more times you kill a certain boss, like Sarkareth, for example, the more times you have, the higher the chance to get that drop that week. I really think that, you know, there's so many things that they've done really well, and I really hope that the War Within takes the good things and does not, you know, fuck with them too much and just builds on top of that. And if they do that, I'm hoping for another A-rated expansion. I mean, S we'll probably never get, just because I think that, you know, obviously the competition, the gaming has progressed, the times have progressed, but maybe it's possible. But I think an A expansion, an A-tier expansion would be absolutely crazy and something that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, let's go, Blizzard. All right, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it this far, I would really like to say that I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me and watching this video. I've been thinking about this one for so long, if I'm honest with you. That's the final tier list right here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.